Okay, so welcome to Archangel Metatron's channel. This is Nilesh, of course, and today we have Julie with us. Hi, Jules. Thank you for coming on and being a part of this. We always kind of get together every now and then, don't we? And just talk about various things. So just before we started recording, we were talking about the current energies here on planet Earth. We just had the solar eclipse literally 2 days ago. And so the after effects of that, and then obviously the week before we had the planets in retrograde and again another full moon, I think it was at the time. So that was also another massive effect for so many. And so yeah, I don't know, at the time, Jules, I was like feeling like stuff that I dealt with, you know, all of a sudden like started to reappear, and I'm like, what the fudge, really?
Yes.
It's like, I thought I dealt with this. Why am I dealing with this again? Obviously not dealt with it. So I'm having to, you know, do some more healing, more letting go, and more introspection to see where it's coming from and what I need to do about it. And this is great, isn't it? It's kind of teaching us to get rid of all this, you know, stuff that we're holding on to.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's inviting me to be transparent too. You know, so two of the things that came up were guilt over my perception that some of my children were less than perfectly unhappy, and feeling responsible for their state now. And so whenever I'm doing that, I'm completely failing to see how beautifully they're held in the hands of spirit, how strong they are, how, you know, and I realize how much of my clock time I've spent in the worry state. I'm sure it's common for mothers, completely ignoring how they're all held by spirit. So that's what came up for me. But, you know, it comes up and it's unpleasant because my own thinking about it has been so unpleasant. So that can be washed away. And then the other issue that came up for me so strongly is the idea of the body and the personal attractiveness and attempting to control it, or thinking I'm going to invest clock time and trying to control weight or this or that of a, you know, body that seems to be aging. And, you know, the temptation to spend clock time and controlling it didn't seem attractive. And the idea of appearing as something that I didn't like to see also didn't seem to be very attractive. So I felt like, oh my gosh, what? So I think when this old thinking comes up, it really helps us relax into the flow. And the flow carries me toward, maybe there will be a change in the body. Maybe I'll like it, but I'm cautious about the liking because that seems to be old, to need this body or that body to appear in certain ways, you know. Also, I'll just trust. It's trust beyond all concepts of anything. So that seems much deeper now, more available.
That's really cool. I mean, I think a few months ago I made some changes. I know where I self-sabotage. So I know that, you know, I've been like, I feel like overweight for like, you know, pretty much a long time, but 6 years for definite. And I think before then as well. So, you know, just like everyone, I make promises to go to the gym, and I do it for a period of time and watch my diet, you know, and watch what I eat, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And then after a few weeks or a few months, it just falls by the wayside. There's always a reason for not to do it. So I know I self-sabotage by not going to the gym or not being careful with what I eat. So I've put things into place to ensure that I attend. So I have home sessions now. So I have home sessions 3 times a week, where, you know, one of the trainers gets online with me and we do like a 30-minute session on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And that works really well because, one, it's like at home. So I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have to travel 40 minutes down the road and do a 30-minute session and travel 40 minutes back, which is what I was doing previously before COVID-19. And 2, it's just easy, you know, like I can do it and then just jump in the shower. It's brilliant. So I know I self-sabotage, and I think many people can relate to that. Same with what I should eat and shouldn't eat, and so it's kind of being careful with that too as well. So yeah, I get what, and it's hard at the moment. You know, everyone's at home, and mothers and fathers are at home as well with the children. It's not possible to do all these kind of things. You know, it's just difficult because when you're raising a family, that kind of takes your priority over everything, really. You know, it's difficult to kind of block out some time to do something for yourself. You know, especially while they're all at home. It's not easy. So just be.
It feels like a purging of the rigidities, and as I allow all the different rigid beliefs and thoughts to be washed away, then what is right there for me becomes clear, like in your example of finding the option to exercise at home with somebody that felt more supportive. Sometimes things just pop up and they're so apparent, they're so clear, and I'm realizing these things are scattered all along our paths, and it's being willing to have all the rigidities and the sense of control fleshed out that's helping them pop for me, that I can see them, I don't ignore them.
That's beautiful. Do you find that the solution just appears when you're in the flow of everything?
Yeah. So when I catch myself struggling for it, now I've learned to pause. The pause is so important.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's hard, isn't it, to kind of, and it's finding the right combination that works, because I've had other personal trainers throughout my 6 years, and I never like achieved much with them. you know, it's like, it's not for my lack of trying, it's more because they've not been very committed. And so it's about also, like you say, just allowing things just to flow as they should, and things just appear for you, providing it's still what you want. So it's kind of key. That is, it's kind of key. That's beautiful. I love that.
Another thing that seems really key to me, like I have this tremendous opportunity that if I think I want to go from a heavier body to a lighter body that would seem to feel better, and maybe egoically I could feel a little more comfortable, like this one looks better than that one. I feel like before I try to go that way, it's so important for me to look at all the bodies and to notice how I'm judging all the bodies,
Yes.
and to not leave anybody behind. Like, it's not that that changes wouldn't come, that I won't exercise or I won't interact with food in a certain way, but it's just that I've been shown so much how the beauty is equal and present everywhere. So then the concerns with the body fall away, right? So we want the concerns to fall away. We also want to be guided in the way that benefits everybody. I think the fascinating thing is I don't know. Like, I have no freaking clue. But if I really don't know anything. But if I just walk the path, then what's obvious just pops right up in front of me, and it's easy to go that way. It's easy, like trail markers, you know, when you're hiking.
Yes, I agree with that. I think if you're allowed to let go, things just present themselves in the way that they should. And if it's still something on your mind, then you're manifesting it. And then as soon as you manifest it, it's like, okay, this is what you need to do. So yeah, I agree. As soon as I start to let go of like the intention of wanting to, you know, lose weight, and you know, I'm doing it for like health reasons, and I'm also doing it because it makes me feel good. So I like the fact that, you know, when I'm like not like, you know, 3-4 stone overweight and I'm a lot more trimmer, I feel good. I feel good about the way that I look, and I feel good about the way that I fit into the clothes as well, you know, and I feel good about taking my top off at the beach. Which, like, you know, I think a lot of people can relate to, especially men. Is like, oh, I'm not sure I can do that. You know, I'm not sure if I'm jumping in the pool. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'm not sure. So yeah, you're right. Things do just appear, and it's also important, like you say, Jules, not to be so rigid with it. It's okay, you know, not to be so rigid with these sort of things. And if it's important to you, then you'll find a way of manifesting it into your life, and it will work out perfectly just for you, individualistically planned just for you. And so yeah, that's the way everyone should be manifesting and leading their lives, for sure. But I also think people need to be a bit kind to themselves. You know, it is difficult. We are under some very unusual and difficult circumstances at the moment, and it's not easy, you know, to kind of do those kind of things while you've still got responsibility in so many different areas. You know, finding that balance is is sometimes a little bit, you know, a little bit of a juggle, a little bit of a challenge sometimes. So yeah, just to remember that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Do you
When
find
I
that
was,
you manage?
oh, go
Sorry, go
ahead.
on. No, go on. You go and say, Jules.
I was going to say, I was remembering some of my most difficult times, and I remember thinking at the time, this feels like chewing glass. This feels like chewing glass. My life
Yeah.
feels like chewing glass. Not because of the people around me, but because what I was facing as far as my old thought patterns. But
Mm,
it's, you know, you just continue on through it because there's this deep drive, and anybody who's in the middle of that might forget you have this insanely strong deep drive that's going to carry you through it to the other side.
mm,
And to see somebody else out there feeling like they're chewing glass, it's almost like we can celebrate for them, because you're going through the tunnel
mm,
from supposed normalcy, through the tunnel. Have faith that you'll come out on the other side to expansiveness and joy in all beings. And you know, sometimes when somebody gets a diagnosis of a mental disorder, it
mm.
seems like the world would want to pull them back into normalcy. I'm just
Yes.
like, could you please fit in or appear happy so I can relax, seems to be what we're asking of them. But
Yes.
now I've been in this position myself of just wanting people, could you please appear normal so I can relax and enjoy myself, you know? But now I see it more like, if somebody's having an excruciating time, I'm almost happy for them. You're in the friggin' tunnel. That's good. You love normalcy.
Yes.
You're in the
Yeah.
tunnel, and here's the way. You have to go through the tunnel, because we go
Mm,
backwards through all our thought patterns that we've attached to, and we let them
mm.
go, let them go, let them go. So it's good news.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I I think you're right. I think we're all going through that tunnel. That's the thing. And you know what? We're in such good company with one another, aren't we? That we're all going through this together, and we're all definitely feeling it. You
Mhm.
know, everything that we're going through, whether it's like past hurts or traumas that you've not healed, or whether it's something current in your life, or letting go of a person, or some kind of traumatic event that happened to you that you haven't really dealt with. The energies on the planet are bringing all that forth. So you're in that tunnel, and you have to, you know, you have to deal with it. And if you don't deal with it, it's just going to get more and more and more painful. It's
Yeah.
not going to stop. It's not going to stop. So, you know, be kind to yourself. Deal with it. And if you're not prepared to deal with it on your own because you're finding it difficult, that's okay. There are many around you also going through the same. So, you know, seek out the support. Seek out, you know, people to help you through the process. You know, there's so many out there that are willing to help and support, you know, and it's really, really important. But yes, the purging is so important. And this is what we're experiencing. And let me assure you, the high vibe beings are also going through this. You know, me and many others that I know who are high vibe are also going through it. You are not alone. You are
Mhm.
not. It's not because you're weak. It's not because your vibration is low. That's not.
Right.
It's not what it's about. It's
Yes.
irrelevant. Yeah.
Hallelujah. That's one of
Yes.
my triggers. I gotta flesh out that trigger, because sometimes I will become irritable if I hear somebody speaking comparatively of high vibe and low vibe, and I'll think,
Yes.
what our essential being that we all are is a high vibe. But I understand now that when I feel that irritability, I'm actually encountering my own tendency to judge in that way. I think it's
Yes.
over there, but it's here. And so
Yeah.
it's yet another chance for me. But I think another thing we realize as we're going through the tunnel is that, just what you said, we are all together. We're all
Yeah.
together walking through the tunnel.
We are.
And that lights it up. You know, you see the internal light of everybody and yourself, and that lights it up. So it's not a tunnel anymore.
Exactly, exactly. And it's great to share, and it's also great to do it together. Imagine doing this all alone. It'd be terrible. It'd be horrible to have this experience alone. Especially when you can't reach out to someone and go, you know what, I'm really going through this.
Yeah.
It feels horrible. It feels traumatic. It feels painful. I feel like I'm suffering. I feel like crying. I feel like shutting all the doors and the windows and closing the curtains and switching off the phones and not speaking to anyone for like 2 days. And that's all right. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all part of the process. So yeah, we're all going through this, regardless of your origins, whether you're galactic, angelic, source being. It's not relevant. What's relevant is, as a 3D human, you have spent some time here, and spending any amount of time here, which means you build up 3D programming, belief systems, and it's breaking all that down. That's what's going on with you guys. It's breaking it all down and making you a clear vessel is what it's doing. It's clearing you all out, ready for the new vibration to come in, because the new vibration cannot be assimilated over old programming, over old belief systems. It can't work that way. You have to clear the system. It's like a computer in many ways. You're clearing out the old hard drive of all the stuff that you've stored, all of your belief systems, all of your programming. And once all that's gone, it's like a clean slate. We are working with a clean slate, and the new energy coming in is phenomenal. You can't rewrite over old programs. It doesn't work. It gets very confusing. So this is why everyone's going through this process right now, and it's great. We say that, and then people.
I was going to say what I'm always shown is when I agree to release a thought, it's like the spot in the mind that thought occupied is empty now. Now it's flooded with light. And I realize when I let go of the thought and I allow that vacant space to be filled with light, or just to see the light that the thought was covering up. It was always there, just a little imaginary game that helps me see. Then that's the flow. And that's where we do things without the burden of thinking. And that's where things just appear on our path. And that's where we can really feel the ease and how loved we are. We relax into it by letting go of the thoughts, but that's our job. Yes. And as you were talking, I was also seeing us as like the little Pac-Man. And I was hearing like, eat it up, like this big, like eat little light balls or something. Big opportunity to purge. Just eat it up, man. Because we're good at this now. We know what's going on when we feel irritable or depressed, or we know it's an opportunity. So eat it up.
Yeah, exactly. Step into it, stand in it, and it'll eventually all go. You can't stay in that state forever. It's not possible. No. It has to go, and it does go once you've dealt with it, once you've healed it, once you've learned what you need to learn from it about your own being. These aren't about life lessons. This is about learning more about you as an individual, and the programming and the belief systems that you yourself have taught yourself to believe, whether it was via another person or something you watched or something you read. You still took it on as your own. And so this is the thing about breaking all of that down again, and it's almost like recalibrating you in many ways.
And it is like the next so we don't judge ourselves, it is like the next level of the video game. If the bad feelings arise again and feel intense, that's a sign that we've leveled up, and maybe we need to play that level 6 times to figure out how to get through it, but we do, and then we keep going. So it's never a bad sign or a sign of failure to experience challenge. That's what we're here for.
Yes, I agree. Do you find, Jules, that each time you go through it, each time it's quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then sometimes the intensity will surprise me, like, really? I thought I was happy now, I thought I had transcended the extremes. But then I can always laugh about that later.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. Yeah, something you've dealt with a few times over and over again, and maybe the fourth time, the intensity is almost the same as the first time you experienced it.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? And it's really quite surprising to you. But the thing is, it ends really quickly as well. It
Yeah.
kind of like resolves or, transmutes itself really, really quickly as well. That's the thing I noticed.
Yeah.
The first time it happens is like takes a bit of time. The second
Right.
time a little bit less. The third time a little bit less. And yeah. Do you get to the point where you actually get rid of it?
Yeah. Well, in that form, um, it eventually I realized, like, oh my gosh, this is the really crappy, awful thought that I've been using to power my daily experience. And of course I don't want it. And then I'll realize, like, I'm holding on to this thought like it's my teddy bear, and I have been since who knows when, and all I have to do is set it down. That's when it always becomes so funny. I think of, like, not currently embodied beings looking at us and being like, you'll get it. You'll get it. You keep going.
I think
And
this.
we get
I think this. This eclipse we had was a real monumental time for many people, because one of the things I was getting when I was meditating through it was let it all go. Like everything I've experienced in my whole life, I mean everything,
Yes.
just let it go. And it was a great time for the planets to be aligned like that, and then for you to actually purge all of this, conditioning, this belief system, and what you thought were your experience we actually are not your experience,
Yeah.
and letting all that go, and not holding on to that. But it was a great I felt it was a great opportunity for many to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
And still too, it doesn't mean just because it's past it means that it's gone. It's relative for each and every one of you. So yeah.
Yeah, it helps us come into the now, and the now is where there aren't any opposites. And then it seems that the Julie character refers less and less to these opposites as a reference point as I'm walking along the path. It's like the path home, when I started out, I'd always be looking left or right to see what the opposite said to me about my experience.
Hmm.
Right, wrong, bad, good,
Hmm.
beautiful, ugly, whatever the opposite was. And I'd always be looking here and there. Now I'm a little bit more, okay, I'm going. But then when we have one of these experiences, oh, I'm still looking over here. Nope.
Do
So
you know? Do you know? Do you know
planet.
the most beautiful thing about this is, Jules, is the fact that it's cyclic. People don't seem to realize that there's
Yeah.
cycles in this. So at the moment in my current life, I've got friends that I used to know who are suddenly drifting away. They're drifting apart. They're doing their own thing. And to begin with, it was a bit like, to begin with, it's like, oh, I really don't want to lose you guys, I really still want to be a part of this, and then the spiritual side comes up, and it's just like, actually, this is just cycles. It's like you just letting go and just having no judgment with that. It is
Mm-hmm.
what it is, and what I've learned through being able to tap into timelines is that actually everything's in cycles. It's like, although people will drift apart and do their own thing, that's fine. And if they go away and do their own thing, that's okay. But if they come back, then that's just a cycle. It's just something
Yeah.
that needed to happen this way, and it's about being able to step back a little bit and being able to see the bigger picture of what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but being able to do it without adding any of your own emotion into it,
Mm-hmm.
being able to do it dispassionately, without having any, agenda or outcome on it. It's really, really hard to do in your own life. It's a skill to learn, but a very good one if you can. And I was able to
Oh,
do that. I'm
yeah.
not able to do that with everything, but I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
do that with this particular situation. It was interesting to see it that way, that it was just cycles. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
way it is. And there's no right or wrong, and there's no separation. It's
Mm-hmm.
just people are being guided to do their own mission. And we had a period of time together, which was beautiful, and it was enjoyable, and it was fun. But now, people have to go off and, do other things, and that includes not doing it with you, and that's okay, But it's so, again, it's like we've been so programmed, haven't we, in so many
Sorry,
ways.
my daughter just walked in.
That's cool. It's cool. So Yeah, like I was saying, you know, we're so programmed, aren't we, to keep certain people in our circle and not kind of like let people go and just understand that it is just cycles. That's exactly what it is, and that's fine, you know. So have you found that in your experience, Jules?
Oh yeah, and what I've been taught is that all people are the one. It's just I'm always meeting the same person in a sense. So now I'm starting to look deeper to realize whoever I'm with is perfect. You know, even if it's the person with me at the grocery store, they're just perfect. The perfect teacher and student. I'm the perfect teacher and student of them. And
Mm-hmm.
there develops this deep trust. So it gets to the point where if somebody will say, I miss you, sometimes I don't understand what that means. Like, I almost feel not human or cold in a way because I think I don't understand what it means to miss somebody. But because we're all present in the heart and in the light. But then it'll come back to me and I'll think, oh, missing. I understand missing. But sometimes it really doesn't seem to be there because everybody has everything at their core, and there's no mistake. We're always placed with the ones we're supposed to be with for maximum benefit for all, and also not just the ones we're physically with or interacting with, but anybody we think of. It's
Mm.
perfect. Like if somebody from the past comes to mind, thank you for coming by for tea. Somebody on the world stage comes to mind, somebody from history. It's always the perfect learning opportunity, the perfect pairing. So I'm
Mm.
really coming to appreciate that.
And you've described that beautifully, Julie. That's living in the flow. That's being in the flow. Sometimes we've just got so many 3D paradigms. You not think, like, when someone says they're missing you, what they really mean is I'm missing your vibration.
Yeah.
But actually there is no separation with the vibration. The vibration is always there. It's just whether you choose to connect to it and be a part of it and establish and maintain that connection. That connection is always there. It's just about you tapping into it. So yeah, and we're learning that still. There's so many people on the planet still learning that actually there is no separation. You are always connected all of the time, 24/7. It's just about whether you've got the ability or taking the time, because you've all got the ability. It's just taking the time, to connect to that and practice it, so you know what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's the other
Definitely.
thing, what that feels like. Yeah.
Do you mind if we take 5 and
No,
return?
no,
I
no,
feel like I
no.
want to check in with my daughter. I'm feeling anxiety. Actually, I'm thinking, is she wrong? Does she need to discuss something? And
Yeah.
so I want to be transparent with that too. Just go do that, and
Go.
I'll
You
be
gotta
right
go. You
back.
gotta go. That's
Okay.
fine. Go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go.
I shall return. How you doing?
Beautiful.
On a video call
Okay, let me just pause this.
again? Since, well, probably forever, but really got highlighted by the birth of my son, who's 15 now. And this
Mm,
is the loop that this has really been brought up to me, like, expose this, tell people you're afraid of this, be transparent, just put it out there. You're afraid that they're in anguish about something, you think you need to rush in. And so I'm just putting it out there. Because I find when I do that, that's when it can be washed away. Don't
mm,
hide anything.
mm, mm. I think it's good that it uncovers and you can actually see the patterns that we've all created, because they're all patterns, aren't they?
Oh
They're
yes.
patterns in our human behavior, and sometimes, like you say, it's not necessary to feel those emotions. It could be something completely different, but
Yeah.
it allows you to analyze it a little bit, apply some critical thinking to it, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's when it reveals itself to be truth, as what it is for you.
Yeah. I've
So
been encouraged so much to just say those 2 words, I'm afraid. and then it can be deconstructed for me. The false self, you aren't really as you really are. You're not afraid, and you've never been afraid, but you're identifying as this false self, and you're on purpose by choice, repeatedly, repetitively giving yourself the experience of fear. And there's a part of you that's super tired of this ride and is ready to step off. So the advice I'm given, even though, you know, like I have a website or I put spiritual messages out there, there almost seem to be an idea like, well, then I shouldn't be human. But what I'm hearing right now is, put it out there, girl. Say, I'm afraid of, and fill in the blank. That's the best thing you can do for yourself and others. Then things will just drop on your path to wash it away.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, isn't it, Jules? It's about, you know, being open to that and actually just tearing up that emotion and just kind of laying it out there and going, okay, if I stand in this emotion, what does it bring up? What does it bring up within my own experience that I need to deal with? You know, and yeah, it's some beautiful questions you're asking, for sure. Definitely. What am I afraid of? You know, and what do I fear? You know, what is my deepest fear? You know, all
And
these
what do I
questions.
think I control? What do I think I control? Because
Yeah.
there's a higher control that's harmonious for all of us that'll just take over. But we're afraid of it. And
Of course.
that's exactly the point when stories about mind control will come up. You know, fears of mind control. And then I was shown, like, honey, darling, the ego is the mind control, and you've always been in charge of it. You've always been allowing it. Every single instance, without exception, of mind control has been allowed by you. So that's very soothing and empowering, and it shows us that we have work to do.
Yeah, that's right. Work of letting it go. Yeah, that's right. It's beautiful. I love that. I think that's great to share. Going through many are going through some really difficult times at the moment, and it's interesting because it's not the same for everyone. I kind of feel like, you know, it happens for some people it happens before the event or after the event, even a week, 2 weeks after the event.
Yeah.
You know, it's very individualistic to, you know, when you guys go through it. Yeah, but it's always the same. It's always stuff about stuff being revealed and stuff that needs to be resolved and stuff that needs to be transmuted and healed, you know, by you. It's incredible.
I love how we're all helping each other, like flowers in a field. You know, like all the daisies are blooming at the same time, but some of them aren't open yet, and it's just part of the cycle. And it's like when one of our minds will relax into a new understanding and a willingness to be assisted by the non-physical help that's always there for us, then the other minds have an easier time relaxing. I'm starting to see this more and more. And so whenever there's any disquiet or disturbance, the highest priority for me would just be relaxing out of that perception.
Yes, because as soon as you do it, you put it into the one consciousness field and everyone else can tap into that as well. And it also heals the rest of the universe and the world and everyone with it. It's a great way of doing it. Like, you know, there were many during this like chaotic period of COVID-19, many I was speaking to were like really feeling calm and peaceful, and there was lots of chaos going around, people panicking, panic buying and worried about their relatives and, you know, their own families and friends and, you know, jobs and all these fearful concepts. And there are many who are just really, really calm through it, and those light workers and light warriors were holding space for everyone to get to the calm space, for everyone to, you know, to be aware that this exists, you can have this too, and we're holding space for you for that. So there was a lot of that going on. People are like, I don't understand. I feel so calm. Like, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. You know.
I'm always told it's no small thing. Whenever I've found the presence to relax into what's always there for all of us, I'm always told it's no small thing. The reverberations, you don't even know, and you don't have to know, but they're beneficial for everybody. So that's always encouraging.
It's a very ascended master perspective, Julie. They do this a lot. They do that. where they just hold space for you guys to find the answer. They don't say much. They don't say anything. They just hold the space with the intention for you to find the right answer that is for you. And so many are practicing that, practicing it here on planet Earth in 3D. How incredible is that? That's like pretty epic stuff.
I think we're getting such an opportunity to transcend the perception of opposites. And I had such a funny one the other day, because I live in New York State in the United States. And so if you would look at a COVID-19 map for a while, New York State would be in the reddest red, you know, you guys are the worst. You guys are danger. You guys are this and that. So I, you know, I had that perspective for a while, and I could see if I look at a map, does any concern arise in me? And then, you know, then I could work with that. Yes. Then it seemed like the map started to change. And then New York State would be like a pale green, and then a darker green, and then the greenest green on there. And I could sense myself almost feeling like, yeah, we're green. We're okay. And then I look over there at some other state and be like, well, you guys aren't okay. And I realize, wait a minute. I need some other state to show up as red just so I can be green. Is there anything more ridiculous than this? No, there's nothing more ridiculous. So I can release my need for anybody to show up as red, so I can show up as green, and that doesn't feel ridiculous.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have set expectations, don't we? We've been trained and programmed very, very, very well. And so yes, when you see, you know, the state that you're particularly in, it's like you're okay, everything's okay. You know, London was the same. You know, well, UK, I wouldn't just say London, but UK was the same. You know, we've had, I don't know, 45,000 cases now up to date. But again, you know, I don't watch the news at all, but I do pick up on certain news feeds every now and then. And again, it's like, I don't believe the figures that they tell us. And second of all, it's just trying to put us back into fear, because that's what they want. They want us back into fear, and they want us back as not being sovereign beings and taking responsibility for our own vibration and our own sovereignty as, you know, as free beings that we are. And as we go forward, you can see more and more people doing this. So yeah, there is these things that make us feel safe, don't they? And make us feel like we are who we are. And, you know, everything's okay with the world if I've got this, you know, or if this is okay.
Doesn't, and somebody else doesn't.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. It's always at someone else's detriment, isn't it?
It's crazy. But the news can be, you have to look at it with the correct perspective, but it can be so helpful and revealing where I'm still attached to fear, and helping me find those laughter and release moments. I learned a lot from the news, because I would go up to visit my father, and he has a very large television and the volume's loud. And the news is on there sometimes for quite a while. And in the past, I would definitely believe that the news, its prominence, its volume, was causing my distress. And I would also believe things about the people I was seeing speaking the words on the screen. You know, I would believe maybe they're misguided, or maybe they're mean, or maybe so. I didn't really feel like I should ask him to turn the news off. The feeling wasn't there to do that, or to encourage him to like ascend spiritually by turning the news off. That feeling was not there at all. So in the absence of that feeling, what can I do? Allow the news to heal you. So I did. And I just sat there and watched myself, my thinking, and all the reactivity. And it was the best. It was like Jedi training, you know, because now I can look at it and love them. I can love every being I see, and I can thank them for how they helped me to heal, because with the words they said, I could observe my reactivity. I could go to my thinking. I could let the thought go. I could see them as the light they are. I could wish them well on their way. I've just relaxed into peace and love. And now they're going to have an easier time of it too. I mean, what's better than that? So
That's,
even the news, anything
mm,
is our ground for healing.
I love that. That's just incredible. Yes, what a great way to see it. Like healing and just allowing it to be, and
Mhm.
allowing you to see it from a different perspective altogether, rather than the one that it's promoting, which is fear, fear, fear.
Right.
So yeah, absolutely. How wonderful is that? That's proper Jedi training, that is.
That's well, because if I think that if the news is the fear source,
Hmm.
then it's like my teachers are saying, well, honey, you can delay dealing with that if you want to, or you could just deal with it right now
Mm.
and go deeper and be happier. So, these kinds of opportunities will come to us. Maybe not in that form for anybody else. Mine was the news. Nobody else has to do that. Their heart might not take them there, but maybe in some other form, you'll just go deep, 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 deep and feel so much gratitude for everybody's true being.
Yeah, sometimes it's sometimes it's really difficult to kind of say thank you, or I am so
Mhm.
grateful for you, for someone who's like catalyzed you or brought something, to the forefront in your own being that they
Mhm.
said or that they did to you.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very difficult, isn't it, to turn around and say thank you, I love you,
Yeah.
thank you for the light that you are, for showing me this. Most people will be like, oh, I just want to be away from that.
I
That's causing me pain. I don't want to see it. I don't know
know.
why you're doing that. You're such a negative, evil, dark person.
I know.
We have attached all these labels, don't we,
Oh,
Julie? It's
sure.
like, my God, I just want to run from you. Don't ever contact me again. I'm blocking you from Facebook and
Yeah.
Messenger and everything else. My God, you're so evil. That's one perspective, right?
Right. Do you know what
Good.
I've learned a lot from speaking on Messenger with men who sent me dick pics?
I've heard about this with others. Yes, I've heard
Yeah.
about this.
You just talk
Yes.
to them and, say if you're afraid of something, or just, treat them as the pure being of light they are, who happen to send you a picture of genitalia. And,
Yes,
and really, you can learn from everybody. There are no
absolutely.
exceptions. It doesn't mean you have to. If you're super confused and you're not
Yeah,
feeling it, don't go that way. But
yeah.
you can. It's there everywhere.
How do you see that then, Jules? Because obviously there'll be like loads and loads of divine feminine all over the world right now going, yeah, I get this too. So how do you deal with it, Jules? You tell them.
Um, Sometimes I feel like, with family and everything, the amount of messages I get on Messenger, I can't reply to them all. And I might start to feel guilty if I'm spending too much time with some, stranger on Messenger, and not with my family. So
Mm,
that's still getting sorted out. But when I do take the time to give somebody my undivided attention and to be there as a student and as a teacher, and to see them as my teacher and as a student of me, of Julie, no, of the light that we are, just sit with them there. And there is no preaching. There's sometimes the conversation will go towards something spiritual,
yeah.
but it's more like, what are the words that come into your mind? How are you doing? I'm fine. How are you? I have this friend on Facebook who will sometimes speak of, yeah, but you'd really like it if I shoved my cock into your juicy pussy, and then and then I get the opportunity to see, well, how do I feel about that? Do I feel threatened? And honestly, with him, it there would be like moments of withdrawal and retreat and worry and even arousal. Like somebody starts talking in that vein, you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But to just sit quietly with it and watch it all come up and watch it all recede. Now if he says this, which he doesn't always say, um, I'm not feeling anything lately.
Yes.
And it feels like, we're led on this path and we're less distracted by all these opposites. It's like I can really be with him as he is and not be distracted, not be tugged and pulled away by anything distracting. And he's been a great teacher.
Yes.
We just have to be willing to see how helpful everybody really is, even if they seem to have a personal agenda. Well, who doesn't have a personal agenda? Underneath, they're a great teacher.
Exactly. And it's brilliant that you mentioned that, Jules, because I also think that people who come across like in that sexual manner, it's usually down to the root chakra, and it's because they feel they want something from you that you can give them, and it is to do with the root chakra, and it's another way of just releasing, isn't it? It's another way of also, fulfilling a need, isn't it? Not to say that that doesn't need to be fulfilled, but there's like you say, there's a reason behind it, and so why is it he's feeling that this is okay to do that? Why is it okay for him to approach in this way? What's going on? There's always deeper meanings as to why people do things, not just down to the surface level of what it seems to be. There's always more deeper rooted reasons. Maybe there he is unhappy in his own life, or maybe he has difficulty, or she has difficulty with maintaining intimate connections, and it's something that they've not been able to maintain, or maybe there's something that they've not experienced enough, so they want more of it to have that experience. There are so many reasons. It could also be something very traumatic. In my experience, many people I've met in my lifetime who are overly sexualized is usually because they've had some pretty traumatic experience in their past, and it's usually down to being abused or raped physically, and this is another justification for them to feel like they're normal. There is so many reasons why we do it, but the initial one is always shock and disgust, isn't it? It's always like, oh my God, like, block.
Right. I would want to reject you because, and there is somebody I blocked because I just could not tune into how to be with him. And that's okay for now. That's the best I got. I mean, the Julie character doesn't save other characters. The light within us all just blossoms and helps us all out of our illusions. So it's not like there's somebody you don't know how to deal with. You just don't know how to deal with. That's okay. But there's so many of us teaching all of us all the time that it's okay. We'll get our teaching somehow.
We are all such creatures of need, aren't we? We all have needs, don't we? And we all want those needs to be fulfilled. And the key thing is we always look for someone else to fulfill them, when actually it's all about inside. It's all here. Everything you ever need, everything you ever want is within you. And so when you come together from that place, it's more of an equal kind of balanced state of like, it's not because I need this, it's because, I want to have this experience with you, rather than I need to have this from you because you're the person that can give it to me, and it will satisfy me, or it will fulfill that need for a short period of time, but then I'm going to have to seek it elsewhere, or I'm going to want more of it from you and you and you and you, and again is that cycle of giving and taking and giving and taking and giving and taking, and it just becomes more and more intense. So thanks for sharing.
The people of the dick pic, so to speak, really helped me with my kids. Now that sounds weird, but I'll explain why. Because you're getting in touch with something that seems so visceral. I need, and I want to get this from you, and I want you to give it to me, and like that. And
now I want you to give it to me now, in this instant. This is the world we live in, isn't it? Instant gratification. Our social media, our Facebook, our Messenger, TikTok, Snapchat, all of that, it's all about instant gratification.
Has anybody paid attention to me and liked my thing yet? That thought still occurs to me. So how am I other than what he is? He's just showing me that visceral, I need. And if I look at my own experience every day, I will find some aspect of that. So the way he's helped me with my kids is to, it looked like he wants to look out at a physical vessel, like a woman, physical vessel, and get some visceral satisfaction from what he thinks she is. Now that's me judging him, but that won't go to waste if I find that aspect in my own life. And so where I found it was with my kids. Kids, in order for me to be happy, you need to appear happy enough so people think I'm a good mother. You need to look attractive enough. And I would like you to have several accomplishments of which I can be proud. And if those things are missing, I'm going to find deficiency in you, deficiency in me, deficiency in our situation together. And so somehow speaking with the people of the dick pic really highlighted that needing aspect of motherhood, and is helping me to release that. How could I be offended if I'm being helped to release something that is just rotten and not necessary for anybody? And then in releasing that, I help all the other minds. How could I be offended?
Absolutely. It's another form of teaching, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's great that you're able to see it from that perspective as well. Because, you know, a lot of, like you say, we're very reactionary, aren't we, as human beings? We react, and we're very good at that. And we're very trained at doing that, rather than, like you say, apply some critical thinking as to what's going on here. So, yeah, I think that's a great way
of practice.
I think it happens a lot. You know, I speak to a lot of divine feminine, and they get that a lot. It's just very, very common. And like you say, you know, some are like equipped to deal with it, like yourself, and can see it from a different perspective, and also apply it to your own, you know, particular, you know, ascension journey. But then there are many who are just like block, 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 block. You know.
And that, you know, that might be appropriate for you. There's really no way we can judge, like talking to him is the solution or blocking him is there's no way to judge it. That's the funny thing about being on this path. You realize I really don't, I'm not capable of judging anything except how I feel, and I'm capable of receiving the teachings of all the balls of light around me, and that's pretty much it.
I think that's a great way to see it, though, isn't it? We're all teaching in our own particular way, right? So yeah, it might not be in the way that you expect it, especially when we think about negative experiences in our own life. There's no way we want any negative experience, especially from someone close to you. You don't want that, but the actual fact is it's a gift that they're doing that to you, because it's teaching you something about you, and teaching you something about your own being that you need to look at. So and not everyone sees it that way. They just see it as like you're dark, you're evil, you know, you're not a nice person, you know, and it might be teaching you to be more stronger, or stand more in your power, or be more assertive, or understand that everything you have is within you and your needs are already fulfilled. It's just if you're willing to see that. There's so many different perspectives, so many different ways of being. So yeah, beautiful, Jules. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and just sharing what we're going through at the moment with everything.
Happy to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Jules. That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nilesh. Bye-bye.
Bye.